competition underrated me, yeah. Started from bottom, they rated me last. I don't really know what they taking me as. Fill his face up with hoes like a Jason and man. Squad and official, I stay with my niggas. Free the fellas, I just pray for my niggas. Middle finger to these hating ass niggas. Still motivating these ungrateful ass niggas. I know they watching me, I'm watching you too.
Alright. What's going on, guys? Welcome back. I got a banger for you. My boy OG Shadow. He's going to share a story on how he's in a Mexican and Filipino prison. He's an ex-cartel worker, and I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself and shout out his channel real quick. What's your channel, bro?
OG Shadow Official on YouTube. I don't have any social media, so y'all won't find me there, but you can find me on YouTube at my channel. And yeah, that's it, brother.
Okay, so let's just jump right into this, dog. So you said you were in a Filipino prison. So what brought you over to the Philippines? And then tell me how the process of being, arrested, the process of being booked and put in the system and all that. Just kind of tell them about that, man.
Okay. I was doing some security contracting work for a friend of mine that passed away. Rest in peace. His name is David Smith. I've mentioned him before in some of my videos. And he'd given us leave, like kind of like a 2-week kind of leave. And during this leave, like we had two big basketball games, and there was leagues like police officers league, the firemen's league, and our security team had its own little basketball league that we play against competing leagues. And in one of these games, I kind of got elbowed and I owed somebody back on the police officer's team, and I didn't think anything of it. But he took it very personal because it wasn't a couple of days later. I was walking back from the same court, but just after like a practice, and 3 Hondas pulled up, and dudes got out with ARs, and the drivers had like Berettas, and they put me in the back of one of the cars with the homie of mine, and they took us down to the jail, and I thought it was a terrorist group like Abu Sayyaf, which is Al Qaeda over there and shit.
Oh, wow.
And when I got to the jail, I was pretty happy to be at the jail and not be getting my head chopped off.
Damn. So when you got to the jail, or wait, what was it they did? What charges did they give you? Did you find that out on the way or when you got there?
It was crazy as fuck. When I was first there, I had no idea why I was there. They didn't really tell me. But when I got there, once they sat us down, it was like an interrogation room. They pulled out like this plastic bag that supposedly out of my pocket. They said they pulled it out of my pocket, my shit pocket. And it had like a bunch of little joints rolled up. And I was just like, wow. So they basically planted weed on me. And it was like, I'm not going to deny that I smoke, but I definitely don't have like a bunch of little joints like pre-wrapped and sealed and packaged that I carry around in my shirt pocket, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they planted it on me, and it's okay, you know, whatever. They got me.
But for those who don't know, how serious is just a simple marijuana charge over there? What kind of time can they give you? What can they do to you?
They have ridiculous laws like they let me talk to somebody from the U.S. Embassy, and the person I talked to from the embassy was like, yeah, you're looking at between 5 to 50 years or something ridiculous.
Wow.
There is just someone they actually execute you for drugs there. It's not just time.
They'll
actually kill you. I knew somebody from Sinaloa. They killed him this last year over there. He got executed in the Philippines.
Oh, wow, that sucks, man.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. They don't play.
Yeah.
And the president put a $500 bounty on every drug dealer's head too. So anyone who's considered, as they say, they're a pusher, they kill them. And cops are just planning drugs on people and then killing them to get their $500. Like they'll just find random poor people, shoot them, and then be like, "Oh, I need my $500. I killed the pusher." So it's crazy, man. It's crazy system.
That's pretty hardcore, man. Like it's a whole different world. But so now take me through the whole booking process after they, they gave you the charges and all that.
Okay, so they had us in like an interrogation room, and they were trying to get me to admit that I had that on me and it was mine, and I wasn't gonna admit it. It just said I wasn't stupid, you know, and they weren't gonna. There's no way they were gonna tire me down. It just wasn't gonna happen. And I actually ended up spending the night there
Mm.
inside the police station because I wouldn't admit to it. So I just slept on the floor, like one of the interrogation rooms that first night. And then the second night, they actually brought me into the jail. Now, when they brought me into the jail, there was just a bunch of cells lined up. Like, I wish I could tell you the exact number from my memory. It must have been like 8 or 6. And it was just a bunch of blocks. I couldn't even tell you how many blocks, but in each block, there was like 8 cells. And there was just bars in between the cells. There wasn't actual
Oh, no,
walls.
wow.
So there's just bars, and there's a cot. All there was a cot against one of the corners and a hole in the floor to use the bathroom. That's all there was.
And were they single man or did they have like 4
It
people in
depends.
there?
It depends how they wanted to put you in there. Like I think if you were caught with a co-defendants or a bunch of people or something, they'd put you all together.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I think if it was like a really violent crime or something, they'd probably put you by themselves, or maybe the guards didn't care and they didn't have any process at all. But I did notice some cells had more people than other cells.
Oh, okay. And then so they bring you to the cell, and do they have a court system, or do they just tell you what you're going to get? You get a lawyer, a public pretender, anything like that, or?
Man, it was so weird. I had one appointment and it wasn't even with the judge. It was like some type of judicial official like the next morning, and they supposedly pee tested me, and I was gonna come up dirty because I did smoke. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie, I did smoke, and I knew it was gonna come up dirty, so there's really nothing I could do. And then they brought me back to the little holding cell, like into the actual main jail. But I was in like how would you say the intake of the main jail, like
Mm-hmm.
of the main prison. I was in the intake. They have you in there for a couple of days where they decide where they're gonna put you and so on and so forth. They classify you and stuff like that. I think it's the same almost in the United States. You know, if you go to prison, like
Yeah.
the first couple of days you're in like a part where they classify you and stuff
They
like that.
call
Or
R&R, receiving and release.
there you go, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So it was something like that for the first couple of days. And again, I was in another situation where it had those bars in between the instead of cell walls. And
Yeah.
I didn't like this at all, brother. And I'm gonna tell you why. One of the mornings, the dude like 2 cells down from me spills a cup of water. And like if you spilled something or stuff like that, you could ask him for a mop. There's a guard like on every tier. There's a
Mm-hmm.
guard, and he's just sitting there in a chair, and he's usually like watching a TV, smoking cigarettes. We didn't have TVs or anything like that. TV's not facing us, you know what I'm saying? It's facing him in the corner, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just sitting there. So he gets up and he passes the mop to dude, and he sits back down. He's not paying attention. Well, dude gets down like where his bunk is and puts his foot on the end of the mop and tries to break it, I think, as silently as he could. I don't know if he wrapped a sheet around it or what he did, but he broke it without really grabbing the guard's attention or anyone else's attention for that matter. Like, I didn't even notice he broke it. And we were just waking up, too. It was pretty early in the morning. They'd just given us dried fish and a handful of rice. That was our breakfast, and the glass of water. So dude takes this mop and he broke the end off, and now it's basically a spear with a sharp point. The way he broke it off, and they didn't make you get up. It's not like the United States where like you have to get up out of your bed when the guards tell you to in the morning, like wake up, right? Like where we were at, they didn't care if you wake up. They didn't care if you ate your food. They just leave your food on the floor on a plate, and if the rats ate it, they didn't really care.
Wow.
So dude walks over, and the other dude wasn't asleep, but he was like half asleep. He was still laying down. And he started his sheet on him, I remember. And dude walks up and he sticks the mop like a spear, like right in between his like clavicle, like his collarbone.
Oh.
And he stuck it all the way through him, through the mattress. And I remember hearing it hit the concrete floor. It was like a weird thudding noise of the wood just
Oof.
because he did it with all his body weight through the and right through the cell, like through the bars. You know what I'm saying? He did it through
Yeah.
the cell bars because the way the dude's bed was up against
Like the
the bar.
bars were like here in the bed. He was sleeping in here. He just reached through.
Yep.
Ugh,
No,
man.
like this. Yeah, he just put it
Yeah.
right through, right where the dude was sleeping. He used the mop like as an extension of his with his own body weight and just jammed it right through, dude. And dude was sitting there, grabbed it, and tried to fight it for a little bit, but he just
Mm.
he bled out quick, man. It was probably like a half minute, 45 seconds, because it was such a massive hole. And
Oh
dude was just
man.
holding on to him like a damn fish. And the guard was just like looking at it. He didn't know what to do at first, and then he just took off running. You know what I'm saying? He just took off running and went for help.
Man. Now, so they got that kind of stuff going on, but you being, white and a foreigner, did you even speak Filipino?
I did. But not fluently, but I picked up a good part of it from that point because I'd been to the Philippines earlier. I had a family member. I'm not really gonna say anything, but I had a family member that I was there for before that. So yeah.
Okay. And now being a foreigner and being a white foreigner, were they targeting you? Were they coming at you? Did it cause you extra problems?
When I first came in there, it did, man. It definitely did. But when they realized, like, I actually lived in Manila and I spoke the language and what I was doing there, what I was working there, and I was lucky enough that I kind of recognized a couple of people too from my neighborhood, like two or three people who'd already been locked up on other stuff, like in the community where I used to live. It was right in the middle of Metro Manila, which is like the center.
Mm-hmm.
And people would get locked up on bogus charges all the time. So it wasn't, the jails there are full of people who didn't do anything usually. Like me. I don't know what percentage of people are innocent, but yeah, I met up with two people who'd also had drugs planted on them. They were a lot younger than me though. These kids were like around like I think they were about 16, man, and they were in the adult
Oh
jail.
man.
Yeah, and I'd seen them. They weren't friends with me or anything like that, but I'd seen them around the neighborhood and stuff like that. And they were kind of the ones who told me where to go and what to do when I first came in there. And yeah, there's like they call the boss of like every little cell block, and he's the one who reports up to the director and stuff. And they're the ones who
Okay.
tell you basically where you're gonna sleep and what the rules are. You know what I'm saying? What the rules are gonna be.
So and this is still in the jail. So does the jail have the same policy? Is the jail and the prison even different places, or is it one and the same? Because it's all in Manila, right?
Yeah, yeah. Where I was at the whole time, it was the jail because
Oh, okay.
I did a year there, so they just left me inside the jail. But
Now,
you can be in the jail there indefinitely. It's not like the United States where jail is short times, prison's a long time. There's people in the jail that have 20 years in the
oh
jail.
man.
Well,
And so, what are the politics like there?
there's really no racial politics. That doesn't exist. But as far as politics, like there's a lot about being clean. You know what I'm saying, and being really respectful is the most important thing. Um, so you just gotta watch your p's and your q's in there and be respectful about everything. And this space is so small, you have to always have that in mind too. That space is limited, so people's tensions are always very high.
Now, with the space, some of the third world country prisons, they'll put 50 guys in a two-man cell or just cram them up. How was like where you stayed and slept and all that stuff?
I was pretty lucky. Like the cell block where we were at, it was overcrowded. Like our cell was probably designed for like 2 to 3 people, and there was 8 of us. And at times there's a little bit more, but I'd say on average about 8 people over the course of the year because people came and left. Over the course of
Hmm.
the year.
Okay. And then you touched on the food, man. Fish, rice, and water. Is that like the
Yeah,
same thing every day? And
yeah,
did the fish even have any meat on them, or were they just like bone?
yeah. They're just like sun dried out in the sun,
Oh man.
hard dry. You got to eat the whole fish if you want anything. You know what I'm saying? So you guys got to crunch the bones and hope you don't get one stuck in your throat.
I bet you don't eat sushi now.
Oh no, they don't got good sushi where I live, anyways, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man, that sun-dried fish, man. It was like fish jerky, like the Oh, that's nasty. And
Oh
so,
yeah, it was horrible, and it was exposed to cockroaches and all types of stuff. I'm sure you saw.
oh, so now I'm glad you brought that up. So obviously they don't have the same sanitary conditions, but do you know what the medical is like there?
The medical what, brother?
Like any medical services, like can you see a doctor or you just
Yeah,
shit out of luck?
I got stabbed one time, and I got taken to the medical wing there. It looks like something that'd be in like 1950s Russia.
Oh, wow. Now, can you tell that story?
Yeah.
Huh?
There was just like I'll tell the shortened version of it. There was just like a beef, and it was kind of like the same thing that got me in there, man. I was just a youngster, and I didn't put too much importance on my actions. Like I didn't realize how important things were, the little things, like that little thing in the basketball game I told you about. So there's another little incident on the inside, but this time I was inside the jail, and dude caught me slipping when I was in the urinal when I was using the bathroom. Like he woke up first thing in the morning and went and ran into the bathroom and waited in one of the stalls, you know what I'm saying, one of the stalls where
Mm-hmm.
people would shit. Like there would be like a wall, a divider, and there'd be holes. You know what I'm saying, where people could don't think there's a toilet. There'd be holes where people could do their thing, and then there'd be walls over there where there'd just be like one huge urinal. And I was up against the urinal, and I was doing my thing, and I heard someone get down behind me. I heard the movement, and dude did get me in the neck the first time. He got me in the neck. The thing that saved me is we never traveled by ourselves there. Like we always did the buddy policy. And well, first dude stabbed me in the neck, and I grabbed it. You know what I'm saying? I got it out of me. And he ended him getting me again because he had me from behind, man. He had me from behind. He had me in like a disadvantaged position, and he ended up getting me again in the belly.
Mm.
And the second time, I actually ended up getting a hold of it, and then I ended up getting away from him, and you know what I'm saying, he ended up getting his shit smashed on him a little bit, and I got up out of there, and I was worried about getting to a medical wing, more than anything at the time, because I knew he got me in the neck. I didn't know how bad it was. Like at the time, I wasn't even thinking about finishing him off or anything, man. I just knew I'd gotten stuck in the neck, and
Mm.
I couldn't see. And they took me down there. It wasn't as bad as I thought. I was lucky it didn't hit an artery or anything like that. But the problem there is an infection with the humidity and the sanitary standards. You can't bathe all the time and stuff. So it started to get infected, and they don't give you antibiotics. So I had to find someone to get me antibiotics, and it's just like it was money, you know what I'm saying, just to get someone to smuggle stuff into the prison. And it wasn't a lot of money, but it was just the fact I couldn't even get antibiotics, and from an infection from getting stabbed was crazy, because there were people there who died of infections just because they didn't have $5 or $10 for antibiotics.
Wow.
That type of stuff happens. So
Wow.
sometimes if the medical didn't kill you, like necessarily, the attention they gave you, the infection definitely would.
Wow. That's unfortunate. $5, $10. They just how far into your term was that stabbing?
It's like I think the fourth or fifth month I was there.
So about halfway through. So now, about going back to the politics, there weren't racial politics, but there's probably cliques, right? Everyone clicked up with something, or like by where they were from, or
Yeah, because there's 56 different dialects in the Philippines.
wow.
Okay, so there's over 7,106 islands, if I remember correctly. And in between those 7,106 islands, there's 56 different languages spoken. So lots of people in this jail, they're definitely broken up by state, provinces, or languages, so that separates people. And then there are cliques and stuff, but as far as like a cartel or anything like that, that really doesn't exist. The government's the cartel there, basically.
Mm. Okay, so now that's going on. You're about halfway through your term. Is it smooth sailing for there? Anything else happen? Um,
What'd you say,
any
brother?
right? Okay, so you're about halfway through your term, right? That stabbing happens. Now, is it smooth sailing from there? Are there any riots or anything like that?
There's a couple of big fights and stuff like that, but no, there was nothing crazy that I thought I was gonna lose my life in that instant. I was lucky I was there only a year. There's people doing life for 20 years, and that would have
Yeah.
been a different story.
Okay, so Let's go to about when you were getting out. How did they go about releasing you? They just let you out the front door and say, "See you later," or?
Uh, yeah, actually, they didn't. They didn't. It's funny. They didn't even give me an advance notice. They just woke me up. I knew more or less when it would be, and it was just one in the morning. They woke me up and like, get your shit and get out. Basically, I had like 5 minutes to get my shit, say bye, and get out. And
Wow.
opened up the door. They don't give you a phone call or anything, money, nothing. I was just like out on the street, you know what I'm saying, like a bum. And good thing I had people there who lived in Manila. I just went and grabbed a taxi, and I had the people pay the taxi when I showed up there, you know what I'm saying, in my boy's house. And
Hmm.
he was eating breakfast with his family. He wasn't even waiting to see me. He was like, "What the
He's like, "Well, you're here.
hell?"
Come on in, eat, have
Me
some
smelling,
food."
yeah, me smelling all disgusting and shit.
It's an interesting morning. So you're out. You're back at your people's house. Do you stay in the Philippines from now on after all this stuff that's happened, or do you
I
not trust
stayed
it and
there
want to
for a
go?
little bit, and I still go back there from time to time, actually. But I didn't keep working there too much because my friend I was working with, he started to work with this guy who was mentioned in a book I've mentioned before in some of my videos, and I didn't like what the dude was up to or the things he was involved in. So that's when I kind of broke off and started doing my own thing, and that's when I came back to the United States into Mexico, and yeah, I started living in the Bay Area for a little bit, and I lived
Oh,
all over California.
those are my old stomping grounds too.
Yes,